Hello, my name is Rachel and today I'm here to do the Books to Read in Pairs tag. So this is a tag that was started by Jen Campbell over at the channel Jen Campbell, and basically you pick books that you think go together, whether that's to do with the themes in the book, whether that's to do with if you read them together and you think they went well together, books that you read and you look back on and think those two would have been really, really good together, that sort of thing. So I have six, six pairs, I think, to talk about today. So I'm just going to get straight into it. So I think two of the pairs I haven't read, I just think will be very good together. The others I have read, and one is a book with a documentary that I think would go phenomenally together. 100%. So yeah, the first book is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath and Girl Interrupted by Susanna Kaysen, which I think you can kind of tell from the cover. They are very, very, very similar. Yeah, definitely similar. So this one is semi-autobiographical. This is Sylvia Plath's fictionary novel, where Esther Greenwood, basically, she is in school or college in New York, and she doesn't really fit in. She starts to take on different personas, starts to think about herself, think about her future, think about the avenues that are open to her, and it deals a lot with depression. Massive trigger warnings for this book. I have suffered with some self-harm problems in the past, and I was like 3 or 4 years since any of that had been an issue, so I was very much, okay. And when I read this, I was like, oh, I might have to skip some pages. Like, it is very triggering, some of it, but still absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I would really, really recommend this. This is brilliant. And then this is a memoir of Susanna Kaysen's time on a psychiatric ward. She is kind of suffering with different things. I mean, it's one of those where a part of the interest in this is seeing how hard it is to get a diagnosis. I know someone personally who has some mental health problems at the moment, and she is finding it so hard to get a diagnosis. There's constantly different things being thrown around, like bipolar, personality disorder, OCD, like there's all these different things, and it makes it more difficult for the person, because I think sometimes it might just be easier to, if you get an answer, you feel like then you can find a solution, but when you don't have the answer, how can you go out and fix a problem that you can't identify? So I think this shows that kind of problem really, really, really well. And yeah, these two just go really well together, which I did find because I did them both on a mental health class at university, and yeah, I think we did The Bell Jar and then we studied Susanna Kaysen's and we studied the movie, and yeah, they really, really went well together. I would say the movie of this is really, really good as long as you take it as fiction. That is not what happens in this memoir. It's very, very over the top and elaborated. Very good, but yeah, definitely elaborated. Then the next two books I just happened to read in very close proximity to each other, which I'm very, very happy about, but happened by chance. The first was towards the end of the year. People kept saying it was a really great book and I wanted to read it before the end of 2016, so I picked it up and read it in the last days of December, and this is Grief is a Thing with Feathers by Max Porter. This is kind of a poem and a work of fiction, and it's just absolutely fantastic. There were two books that I couldn't choose between as my favourite books for 2016, and this was one of them. This is just absolutely amazing. Just, it's so well written, so beautiful. It's just, you think like you can't put grief into words. I know, like, when I've grieved for people, I couldn't put it in words how I felt. It's just like, oh, it's just this, I can't put it in words. But Max Porter managed it and did such a beautiful job, and I just adored this. And then for Christmas, I got a poetry collection off my parents called Undying, a love story by Michelle Faber. And this is a poetry collection, but a non-fiction memoir type poetry collection. And Michelle Faber's wife basically died of cancer, and as she was dying, I think he wrote a few poems while she was alive, and then a lot of the poems are after she's died and dealing with his grief and how he dealt with it and his attitude towards other people. I just happened to read these near each other because I wanted to read this in 2016 and because I got this for Christmas, so I just happened to read them both within like 2 weeks of each other, and I'm so glad that I did because they complement each other so well, because they both talk about grief. Obviously this poetry collection, this kind of has like a blank verse poetry feel, and yeah, just these are a fantastic pair to go together, so I would definitely recommend reading them together. The next two books are in the same vein, absolutely amazing. All these books are like books that I would put as like favourite books, so it's quite good. The first is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Obviously this is a very popular book. I'm not going to really describe it much because I know that a lot of people know what this is about, but basically Atticus Finch is sent to defend a black man who is accused of raping a white girl, and it's told from the perspective of one of his children, and it's basically about the children, how they deal with it, how the court case goes down, all that sort of stuff. And this is absolutely fantastic, just a brilliant novel. And I think that a really good book to go along with this is The Good Immigrant, edited by Nikesh Shukla and by a lot of different people. This is a collection of essays about immigrants living in the United Kingdom now. This is a collection of essays on immigrants living in the UK now. It's published in like 2016 or something, so it's very, very new, it's very up to date. And I think these are good to read together because I think you read books like this in its time, a book representing what was going on in that time then, and it's not what's happening now. And that's why I think it's good to read with this, because this is a book talking about what's happening now, and clearly there are massive race issues going on in our world right now that, you know, people just, they say it's not as bad as this, but sometimes it is, and it is going on now. So I think these are really good books to read together to kind of, I mean, although it is quite depressing to read this and think, oh god, at least our society isn't like that anymore, and then, oh no, actually it is, it's pretty shit. So, I mean, yeah, that'd be depressing. But I think they go well together. Then, following on with the depressing vein, which I think the rest of the video will now take, the next one is one that I haven't actually finished yet, but I'm planning to finish before I move to Switzerland, and I am really, really interested in it. I'm not going to say enjoying it, because it's not really the kind of book you enjoy, but it is Another Day in the Death of America by Gary Young, and this takes a day in America and talks about the young people who were killed that day by gun crime. 24 hours, 8 states, and 10 young lives lost to gun violence in America. And I'm about halfway through. It's very enlightening, very infuriating, especially the bits about the NRA. And yeah, this is a really enlightening book, a really good book. I think it is brilliant for putting a face on gun crime. I think sometimes it's really easy to hear about the rates of gun crime and all this stuff, and because there's so many, it kind of drowns out the specific people. So like, say 10,000 people die in America of gun crime in a year, which isn't that far away, because in like the 2000s it was like 11,000, so it's probably higher anyway. It's putting a face to the violence, which I think is really, really important. And the thing that I think should double up with this is not a book, it is a documentary, and it is Michael Moore's Bowling for Columbine. I wasn't going to put this in, but today I finished one of the chapters in this, and it just reminded me of one of the things he talks about in Bowling for Columbine. So basically, I was reading a chapter about Tyler Dunn. He was shot by his best friend because there were guns lying around the house, didn't have the safety on, and it was a loaded gun, and he managed to shoot his best friend, unfortunately. And it reminded me of one of the situations in the documentary where a kid had brought one of his uncle's guns to school, like really young kid, I think he was like 6 or 7, and he had accidentally shot one of his classmates, and made me really want to watch it. So I watched it again this morning. This book and the documentary are really good to kind of have together. This came out like last year. It's very, very recent. Obviously, it looks at a day in 2013. Bowling for Columbine was the documentary was made in 2002. So it means that it's around 10 years after that this day is taking place, and I think it's so interesting to watch this documentary that got like worldwide acclaim. I'm sure it was an Oscar winner. Like, it's done phenomenally well. When a lot of people talk about documentaries, that is one that is usually mentioned because it's very, very, very famous. It's one that everyone thinks of. Yet 10, 11 years on, the situation isn't improving, and now it's 15 years on from that documentary coming out, and I don't see any improvement. In fact, Donald Trump is president. So yeah, I think they're good to have together, because I think it's just interesting to kind of see where gun crime went after that. Even though it's such a popular documentary, was it really able to document any change? In this, it says about how, like, whenever research has been conducted, the NRA has shut that down straight away. They've shut legislation down. They lobby against shops that sell guns, that say they're going to like sell guns with safety on, or something. It's ways to keep it safe. So there's ways where you have to like hold a hammer and pull the trigger at the same time. So it means like you can't really do that if you're a child. Just ways to keep people safe. And like gun lobbyists just go right for them, and like obviously the shops can't sell it if no one's going to buy it. And if they say, okay, well, wait, no one's going to shop at your shop anymore, obviously they're not going to stock it. So they are purposefully going against this legislation, and it's just infuriating. So to read this and watch the documentary where you see like lobbyists go to, there's literally an NRA meeting set up like in the state that Columbine is in, pretty close to Columbine, 10 days after, and the mayor even said to them, can you not come? Like, we've just had a shooting in a school, can you not have a gun rally here? And they did it anyway. It shows the problem with gun crime. Anyway, I really need to stop talking about this because I feel like it's just getting a bit too much. So, and then the last pair are 2 non-fiction books about feminism, and they are Girls Will Be Girls by Emma O'Toole and Girls and Sex by Peggy Orenstein. These are 2 books that I am super excited to read, that I've wanted to read for a while, and I'm going to be taking to Switzerland with me to read. Now, I'm going to read the blurb of this one because I think it sums up perfectly what this book is about, and better than I ever could. So, a clear generation gap has emerged between parents and their daughters in this post-princess age of Snapchat, celebrities and Instagram fame, of internet porn and the sexual myths it perpetuates. Mothers and fathers are often unaware of the pressures and expectations young women face and how they really feel about them. Drawing on in-depth interviews with a number of psychologists, academics and experts, as well as the girls themselves, Peggy Orenstein goes where most others fear to tread, revealing the hidden truths and hard lessons of young adulthood and starting a much-needed conversation about women's sex lives in the modern world. And I just think this sounds fantastic, especially the area of feminism that I really like to look into and read about for myself as well, is how women view themselves, the way that the media treats women and tells women they have to look, and all that sort of stuff. So I think this will be really interesting in terms of looking at how Instagram and Snapchat and porn and things like that, how they affect like how women see themselves and how they act, especially with things like Instagram and Snapchat, where you constantly have to look good. Like, it's just insane. So I think this will be really, really interesting. And then this one is about dressing up, playing parts, and daring to act differently. So on the back it says, game-changing ideas, academic intelligence, and laugh-out-loud humour make this a book that will open your mind and revolutionise the way that you think about gender, which just sounds really interesting. So these two I'm definitely excited to read together. And yeah, that's all the bookish pairs that I wanted to talk about today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next video. Bye!